Dr. Cunningham, Dr. Caswell, and Tom Horn. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm awfully sorry, and it's most unfortunate that my dad can't be here to accept the dedication of this gymnasium himself, to accept the honor which has been done him. We tried to talk him into making the trip north, but unfortunately, he's 80 years old, approaching 81, and physically quite infirm. It would not have been possible to make arrangements to have him come north with the attendant physical and emotional strain that he would have undergone. He's been taking a great deal of interest in these ceremonies. It's revived what interest he has left in life. I had hoped that there would have been a wire recording of these ceremonies, but I believe that it was impossible. It's really helped him along a great deal. There are not too many people here present who knew him at the lower school. There are two men present, Dickie Cunningham and Bryant Hervey. I think they were the class of 1911 and 1910 respectively who have come up tonight. Bill Nagel and John Van Zandt were at the lower school. But for those of you who didn't know him, I'd like to just ramble a bit. He came to the school in 1894, 20 years old. 3 years later, he was made principal. I think there were only about a half a dozen male students at the time, and he looked younger than most of them. He even resorted to the growth of a mustache and a goatee to increase his dignity. Now, I think Bill Nagel will remember him, for he had that appearance up until about 1912. Am I right, Bill? Huh? The idea of an independent boys' school was, I'm sure, a gleam in his eye as far back as the turn of the century. He had three ideas, as I remembered. In the first place, he wanted to establish a boys' school independent of all controls from Teachers College, with educational and physical facilities second to none in the city. His second purpose was to get away from the domination of Teachers College and the dependence on another institution. Another thing I think he had in mind, he wanted to get away from crying females. He was very uncomfortable when the girls used to come in his office and cry on his shoulder because they were in difficulties in their studies. To my knowledge, he never fired any girl, but he did and could fire a number of boys who didn't come up to his standards. Now, a great many of those ex-Horace Mann boys are his very, very good friends. It's particularly to the purpose to dedicate the gymnasium to him. Athletics were his favorite subject. He was always interested. One of the first things he did when he became principal, he obtained the use, and I'm going back of 1910, Eddie. Going back of 1910, he obtained the use of a rocky lot of land opposite the school where the Union Theological Seminary is now. There wasn't a blade of grass on it. It was full of rocks, and Harlem goats ranged for what they could find. In any event, it served for the early football teams and baseball teams. I remember playing catch out there. And then we came up to Dyckman Street, Van Cortlandt Park, and finally to Alumni Field. As you know, he was instrumental in raising the funds for this building and at a later date for the gymnasium. He interested Mr. Forsheimer in the swimming pool. there were difficulties in the building of that swimming pool. I think Mr. Pforzheimer may remember it. The estimate was made, a commitment was made for the cost of the of the swimming pool. Then they went to make the sewer connection. They had checked that. There was a manhole just to the west of the property. There was a hole in the ground. But when they went to connect the sewer, they found that's all it was. There was no sewer. Still, they had to dig a trench down to Lower Broadway, and the bill for that, for some $15,000, was handed again to Mr. Pforzheimer. Our family has been connected with a school or associated with a school for a long time. From 1894 through my own graduation in 1914, my father's retirement in 1920, my brother's graduation, I believe, in 1927, my son's graduation, I'm ashamed to say I don't remember the year, and I think about 1940. He's dumber than I thought. I think he was still only 17 when he graduated, but I swear I thought it was 1940. I was recently advised that there's a possibility that there may be another one of our name who will enter along about 1967 or 6 or 8. I have hopes. We're proud of this association as a family and as the eldest member, the eldest active member of the family. I want to thank you on their behalf. Most of all, I want to thank you for my father. Thank you.